Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Shall we begin this morning together by standing as we're able and singing? Please join us.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome here to worship at First Unitarian Church, congregants of all ages here in the sanctuary and all joining us online. Following the service, join us for social hour in Fuller Hall immediately below this sanctuary. And if you're new, we invite you to a welcome circle. If you're new and want to learn a little bit more about the church, that will be to my left in the circle there in the gallery. We'd love to meet you and get to know you a bit. And you might notice that there's a bright array of tapestry of color up front this morning. If you were here 2 weeks ago when we began our church year and the theme of weaving together community, we were invited to fill out slips on how we are connected here. Those connections have been made into this beautiful piece. And if you were online, your notes are also incorporated into it as well. So check it out and see if you can find what you wrote 2 weeks ago. Once again, welcome everyone. And for our chalice lighting today, I'd like to invite forward Thatcher and Irene, two friends from our learning community, to light our chalice. We are Unitarian Universalists. We light this chalice in faith, in hope, and in love.
Good morning, one and all. So today we are talking about weaving our history and returning to the theme of the year. And so some might wonder about the robe that I'm wearing, but if you were in this church with Marilyn Sewell, with Dr. Steiner, or even before, you might have noticed that Unitarian Universalist ministers always wore academic robes instead of priestly robes. And now, we can wear both. Typical Unitarian Universalism, we can wear either. But when I first became an intern, that was still the custom in many of our churches. And so I brought this out in honor of the Elliots and those who came before. And the other fun thing that I didn't know is that Harvard has crow's feet on its academic robes, and no one loves crows more than people in Portland. So I feel it foreshadows my arrival here. We open with a call to worship, a covenant by James Villa Blake, which was written around the beginning decades of our congregation's time here. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. So may it be, friends. So may it be.
The first anthem that Chalice will be presenting this morning is one we've done a few times before. It's called Love is Love is Love is Love is Love by Abby Bettinas. In this piece, we will ask that you all will join us singing the mantra of this piece at a certain point. And I've asked that it's not going to be up there on the screens for you, but I'd like to teach it to you now with the help from Chalice. Joe, may I have an F sharp? I'll sing this, and please join me as you can. Love, 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 all we need is love, 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 that repeats, love, 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 all we need is love, 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 one more time, all we need is love, 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 all we need is love, love, love. All we need is love. Just like that. So the choir will start, then at a certain point I'll turn to you. I think you'll know when that is. And please join us if you'd like.
Oh Today, our story is called Woven of the World. It's written by Katie Howes and illustrated by Dinara Miratablova. I'm going to need your help in a few places to help this weaving story come alive. So whenever I say clack, I need you to echo that back to me and say clack together. So it's going to go like this. Clack. Perfect. So same thing when I say swish. So we'll try that. Swish. Okay, but I say it first, okay? So swish. Perfect. So when we say clack, that is going to evoke the sound of wooden pieces moving up and down, back and forth on a large loom, as noisy and rhythmic as a drum. Swish is the sound of a shuttle of yarn gliding on its journey. It goes side to side between warp threads. You're going to hear some other loom language, but that will be enough to get us started. Clack, swish, pull back, bobbin and head, foot and pedal, no slack. I listen as I am weaving to the rhythm of the loom. I imagine scans of history unfurled across the room, wrapping me in warm tradition, crossing borders, spanning years as the clack and then swish of the loom song carries stories to my ear. It sings a song of silk and threads, coaxed from a white cocoon. A dynasty of secret skills lives on inside its tune. It sings of flaxen fibers spun by fingers deft and proud, threads destined for a dancer's robes or for a pharaoh's shroud. It sings a city packed with looms, a wonder to behold, of cloaks and rugs for warmth and prayer, and colors rich and bold. I'm a true religious educator because I have a beginning of the program year cold. A song of stalwart travelers who call each new place home, of nomads with a loom to string no matter where they roam. In these echoes, clack, swish, youth and elder, one to learn and one to guide, pass much more than yarn between us as the loaded shuttle glides. With clack and swish, with heart and hand, we lay a row on row. Our loom sings tales of fabric, friendships, families long ago. It sings of bundled threads on frames, each wrapped and dipped and dyed, meticulously matched and draped to dress a beaming bride. A song of mountain villages, a girl with steady hands, her back strap loom tied to a tree, her heart tied to the land. It sings of adventuring souls who kissed their friends goodbye, a trail of yarn behind them and a sail against the sky. Of honor sung in pattern, story told in shape and line, color chosen with intention, spirit sewn in each design. Clack, swish. Our loom sings love and artistry, passed down from hand to hand, of ties that bind us one and all, no matter where we stand. And so I know we all are tapestries, woven of the world. We are lifelines interlacing, yarn of many sources swirled. In our patterns, there is purpose. In our softness, strength abides. Warmth and beauty still unfolding, growing as the shuttle glides. Clack, swish, pull back, bobbin and head, foot pedal, no slack, and the end. Okay, it's time to move next door to RE, so parents and caregivers. If your young people are registered and know what they're doing, we can take it from here. If you're new, if you haven't had a chance to register yet, or if the searing honest truth is that you can't remember if you filled out the form yet, it's okay, just come with us. We will get the kids settled and then grown-ups can return to the service. Ari is going to be great today. Would you please wave at me if you're in preschool? Okay. Today you have a story about a naked mole rat. It's gonna be good. And is anyone in kindergarten or first grade? I know our chalice lighters were and a couple other kids. You have some really fun getting to know you stuff. And is anyone here in 2nd through 12th grade? I know my kids are. I see Rowan. I see the Bickerstaffs up there. You have a sing-along in Elliott Chapel with local musical sensation Red Yarn. They're also members here, the Eller Ferguson family. And that sing-along is going to include some historically important Unitarian Universalist music from K-pop Demon Hunters, the Beatles, Chappell Roan, Taylor Swift, and Guns N' Roses. Okay, let's all sing together as Ari heads next door.
We are an active church, and every week there's lots going on here in our community. Today, after the service, immediately after the service, join in a sing-along of social justice songs that will be happening right after the service. Today, also, our church will be taking part in a big event in town celebrating the sun as well as wind and solar energy. Join Reverend Alison and fellow congregants at 11:45 in front of our Elliott Chapel to make your way to the event that will begin at Waterfront Park. And the hope is that the sun will come out and it will be a wonderful sun event. And look for opportunities coming up. There are ways to connect with others, to learn and grow. Just a few of those. Anti-racism circles will resume tomorrow evening on Zoom. Classes on writing your life story will begin later this month, and a class on ethical wills will begin in early October. You can find out more about all of those in our weekly e-news. Oh, and one more, our round of community circles will be beginning soon. You can find out about all of those things in our weekly electronic newsletter, The Front Steps, that comes out on Thursdays. And so now let's take a moment and greet one another as we come together this morning, online and here in person. It's our practice in this congregation to share our offering with groups and projects that reflect our church mission. This year, we're focusing on community organizations that share our justice and service focus. And for September, we're sharing our plate with our own 13 Salmon Shower Project. This was launched in 2023. The Shower Project has grown to serve over 1,300 unhoused guests, averaging 22 persons per day, with showers, hygiene supplies, overdose prevention kits, clean clothes, a warm meal, and a welcome from our volunteers. The Shower Project puts love at the center, making a difference in each guest's and each volunteer's life. If you'd like to give, you'll see a QR code on the screen shortly, or there's a green card in front of you. And if you'd like to give online, you can follow that QR code, or you can use the Donate Now button on Boxcast. Thank you for your generosity as our ushers come through. Thank you for your generosity that sustains the mission of this congregation. We make space each week in our service for the concerns of our community life together. We are a caring community, and pastoral care is available through our ministers and through a wonderful team of lay ministers. You can write down an intention for prayer in one of our side galleries. You can light a candle of intention, and you can send prayer requests to prayer@firstunitarianportland.org. I have a number of concerns to share with you today. And there's someone in the outside that's yelling and causing a disturbance. Our security's on top of it, so don't be concerned if you hear yelling in the background. Member Donald Lawton died on September 5th at the age of 91. Don and his wife Abigail were frequent attenders for many years and were especially fond of services in our Elliott Chapel. His wife Abigail died in 2018, and we hold Don's family in our prayers in these days to come. A memorial gathering will be held for member Barbara Fields this coming Wednesday, September 24th at 6 o'clock in our Buchanan reception room. Barbara died in July at the age of 77. She served on our nominating committee and was part of our coho group. A memorial will be held for Margot Clark next Saturday, September 25th at 4 o'clock in the Elliott Chapel. Margot died on August the 14th and was involved in many ways here at the church through the years. Our flowers today are given in memory of Tony Pageant, who died on September the 4th. They're given by our Quilts of Love group. Tony was a much loved and inspirational member of that group. And a memorial will be held for Tony on October the 11th at 3 o'clock. And finally, a note of gratitude today. Melina Weller, who is a child of this church and has been working in our nursery for the last several years, is concluding her time on our child care staff today. We're happy she will remain in our community as a child care sub and a member, but we want to thank Melina for her loving care of our youngest ones through these years. And she is working today. Okay, thumbs up. And she is working today, and if you know her, it would be lovely to stop by and greet her today. Will you join me now in prayer? Spirit of life and of love, God of many names and of no name, hear our prayers this day. As we witness the earth turn from one season to another, with the arrival of gentle rain, with shorter days and longer nights, help us, Spirit, to see an invitation. How might we want to turn? How might we want to make a change? How might we want to begin again? How is it we might want to live? In a world that is so broken, Spirit, help us to stay present. Help us to bear witness. In a world that seems so broken, help us to find wholeness in our lives and in the lives of those around us. May this community, as it has from one generation to another, nurture wholeness in each of us and in all of us. May all of us together help make the world a little more whole. In a world so full of brokenness, help us to find our response. May that response be grounded in love, in hope. Help us to imagine, Spirit, what is possible. We pray for this and for all the prayers we name now in the silence of our hearts. Let us take a few moments now to be together in silence. And now let's take a moment and sing our doxology, Spirit of Life. Our reading this morning is by William Lawrence Sullivan, To Outgrow the Past. To outgrow the past but not extinguish it, to be progressive but not raw, free but not mad, critical but not sterile, expectant but not deluded, to be scientific but not to live on formulas that cut us off from life, to hear amidst the clamor and pure deep tones of the Spirit, to seek the wisdom that liberates and a loyalty that consecrates, to turn both prosperity and adversity into servants of character, to master circumstances by the power of principle, and to conquer death by the splendor of loving trust. This is to attain peace. This is to pass from drear servitude to divine adoption. This is to invest the lowliest life with magnificence.
The anthem that the choir is about to present, in talking about weaving together our community and our history, especially right now, I find it more important than ever that we remind ourselves that our shared history is not just of this community and of this church, but of our city, our state, our country, and our world. This piece is an African-American spiritual arranged by Andre Thomas called Keep Your Lamps. And this would have been sung by enslaved Africans who were forcibly taken from their home and brought to this country. And especially now, if we erase this history, we erase ourselves. So as we weave our community, take this moment to listen, and to contemplate, and to meditate, and to be with us here. Here is Keep Your Lamps.
We are woven out of history, both our individual and our collective histories. Part of our identity and who we are is related to the history of our families, and for many of us, we may be connected to more than one. The history of the places we have lived and where we live now, and the history of the workplaces, cultural, civic, and religious institutions where we locate ourselves. The history all the way up to this moment of Unitarian Universalism and First Unitarian Church in particular, and the city of Portland intersect with our lives and shape who we are and who we are becoming, even as all of us, as we play a role in shaping this faith, our community, our city, and its environs. In the not too distant future of 2026, we will embark upon a mission, vision, and strategic planning process together. To do that well, we must first understand where we came from and who we are today. This is called a period of self-study. As Aristotle once said, to know thyself is the beginning of wisdom. We will make better decisions about where we hope to go together in the next, say, 5 to 10 years if we understand our starting place. Which means if you've come today for the first time, online or in person, you have arrived at a shape-shifting moment. Welcome to our community and to being part of co-creating, really, the future. We are beginning with weaving together our shared history of Unitarian Universalism, First Unitarian, and Portland, with a deeper dive focus on the more recent history, the last third of a century, 33 years-ish, which coincides with the tenure of your shared ministry with the Reverend Marilyn Sewell and the Reverend Bill Sinkford, and the beginning of our shared ministry together, 3 years old now, and the tenure of Reverend Tom Disrud's ministry, which overlaps most all of that time. Reverend Tom will be preaching next week, specifically sharing highlights over the last 30 years, and yes, I have exclamation point in my script here, that he has served as our associate minister. And in the beginning of the month of November, we will have a party following the service to celebrate him. Ministers and lay leaders and other staff members are all very important to the shared history of our community. Beginning next week, all of you, not just Tom, will be invited to participate in creating a timeline of the last 30 or so years and sharing the highlights, the pivotal challenges and changes, the things to celebrate, everything that has helped shape who we are today. We'll create timelines especially for this church, for our city, and our wider faith tradition. And the planning group was talking maybe even changes in technology over the last 30 years, which have certainly shaped us. If you are one of our members or friends who lives elsewhere in Oregon or in another state, the history of Portland intersects with the history of our whole state and our whole country and even our whole globe. So we want to hear your highlights as well. We will also remind one another of some of the cornerstone moments that came before. For example, First Unitarian and we might not be here without the wondrous work of the Ladies' Sewing Circle, especially the first 7, including for us, the famed Mary Fraser and Sarah Barrage, who held fast to the courage and the faith to found a liberal church in Portland 160 years ago. First Unitarian and we might not be here Without Portland's history that includes the U.S. Congress passing the Oregon Donation Land Act in 1850, which effectively stripped Native American tribes of their land, resulting in 2.5 million acres being claimed by white settlers. And that includes the land that is Portland. We have a need to both celebrate what has been positive and productive and remind one another of what was difficult, and even to reckon with what has been destructive in our shared history. We do not want to take for granted what we have done well or how we have contributed, and we want to learn from where we were missing some keen insight or where we have fallen gravely short. We might not be here if it weren't for this church's historic commitment to expanding religious freedom in Portland, its resilience, including from 2 fires and from several economic challenges, and its outward-facing efforts to make a difference in the lives of our neighbors and our community members when their rights have been denied. We also might not be here if it weren't for Portland's history of innovation, creativity, and embracing of out-of-the-box living, sometimes put as keep Portland weird, as well as its steadfast commitment over time to the environment and climate justice. I also know that Marilyn, Bill, Tom, and Reverend Leah and I all wouldn't be here if the history of our wider faith hadn't begun on a path of collective liberation that included an expanded vision of who could serve as a minister and spiritual leader of the church. First Unitarian Portland started and exists all the way up to today because of our founders and each succeeding generation, and the fact that they were not content to simply live for themselves alone. They attached themselves to the well-being of this community and the world beyond. In the earlier days, ministers such as the Reverend Thomas Lamb Elliott and the Reverend James Corby at the Universalist Church of the Good Tidings on the East Side used the language of moving towards a universal brotherhood, which later expanded to a vision of working collectively for the beloved community, our 8th principle. When we point to our founders, 2 lay leaders do spring forth, Sarah Burridge and Mary Fraser. They were attending the First Congregational Church in Portland, but they felt a calling to co-create a Unitarian community. In the early 1860s, there was only one Unitarian church on the entire West Coast in San Francisco. Even in New England, many Unitarians were part of Congregationalist communities like Sarah and Mary, making do with what they felt to be, and they would have used this language, outmoded and even dangerous doctrine. That was the orthodoxy at the time. Sarah and Mary felt a calling and committed to that calling in a place where no other public Unitarians existed, and it was no small leap of faith. They might have been ostracized. It could have impacted their family's financial and social well-being, and it meant risking failure. But commit they did, with a little push from the minister at the church they attended. In 1865, the Reverend George Atkinson preached a series of sermons condemning the heresies of the liberal church and named Unitarians, Universalists, and the like. The Unitarians' belief that Jesus is a moral exemplar but not a part of God was and is still considered blasphemy in many churches. The Universalist belief in a loving God that wouldn't torment souls in hell for eternity for finite mistakes made while here on earth was also blasphemy according to Christian orthodoxy. But in their conscience, Sarah and Mary held a commitment to what they believed to be true, and they were willing to work for it and sacrifice for it, no matter the consequence. Sarah and Mary met with 5 other women and formed the Ladies' Sewing Society to earn money and to give it away for the purpose of founding a new liberal church. The first thing they bought was a communion set. Then they raised money for a minister's salary and then for land and a building. By the way, buildings cost a lot less in 1865. The first called senior minister, the Reverend Thomas Lamb Eliot, also exemplified this commitment to our faith and to a spiritual life that included the well-being of the wider community. In 1867, he preached a sermon from this pulpit called Ambition and Aspiration, where he asked, "Shall life's work be taken up for the prizes which it holds out, of wealth or power or reputation, or for service? Every man," he would have said, "must consider whether he is doing the work of God or the work of the devil. There can be no compromise." During his time here, Eliot was engaged in the founding of Reed College, the Oregon Humane Society. Don't forget about our upcoming pet blessing on October 19th at 4. The Children's Home and the Boys and Girls Aid Society, the Portland Art Museum, the Portland Public Library, now the Multnomah County Library, and more. He was engaged in advocacy for a free kindergarten, improved conditions in the county jail, and what was then called the insane asylum, and he established libraries in both places. When Portland experienced a devastating fire, Eliot served on the relief committee. When the city was establishing a park system, he brought in the Olmsted brothers, famous for New York's Central Park. As Garrett just reminded us before the anthem preceding this sermon, we in this church and our leaders have always seen our history as deeply intertwined with the history of this city and our world. I am conscious of the momentum of love as embodied through the people of this church and its movement over time. In 1924, the Reverend William Eliot and the members counted the us versus them activities in the city and country. The anti-Catholic sentiment of the Ku Klux Klan and the Red Scare are 2 examples. We even hired the first assistant minister, who was a woman, Julia Budlong, in 1927. But she was too much of a radical for our church at the time, so she only lasted 4 months. During the Reverend Steiner's time, which some of you I know remember, the people of this church were outspoken and active on matters of racial injustice, guided by engagement with the NAACP and the call of Black leaders like the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and they worked to counter fascism approaching during and after World War II. During Alan Deal's tenure, the members and the minister worked to expand women's rights to equity in matters such as pay and health, such as access to a safe and healthy abortion. And they also supported expanding civil rights for Native Americans and Black Americans and compassionate support for our houseless neighbors through Outside In. Then came Marilyn Sewell's tenure, when our members and ministers' words and actions moved to the side of liberation for our LGBTQ+ identified folks, both within and beyond our church, as well as answering the call of love for the natural world and to do our level best to counter global warming. And they advocated for the right to bodily autonomy around abortion access and death with dignity. During Reverend Bill Sinkford's time, people were moved to engage even more deeply into the work of anti-racism, anti-oppression, and multiculturalism within our denomination and in our city. This showed up in efforts to counter police brutality in our city here in Portland and in the passing of that eighth principle, which calls us to lead lives of integrity and commitment to counter racism, other oppressions, and to build the beloved community. Our history of embodying an ethic of love and liberation goes all the way to this past week when I invited you to join me in a nonviolent action to embody an ethic of love as we surrounded the ICE building and called out the initials of over 100 immigrants who have been taken since June. And after each name, we responded, presente. And about 30 of you showed up, and we comprised about 20% of the 150 Portlanders who took part in that action. And we were led by our community partners at Together Lab and many clergy and lay leaders in area congregations. We cannot counter fascism or oppression or the rising temperatures alone. Our history and our future has always been intertwined with those around us. And I have just shared a slice of our shared history. There is the history of this religiously open, deep, and spiritually alive congregation, which has gathered people of all ages at least once a week for spiritual growth and deepening through spoken word, music, sacred silence, ritual, and classes. There is the history of our facilities. This is our third site, and our footprint has changed over time. Alan Deal, who I sometimes call the Reverend Let's Make a Deal, had a big imagination for our block. What is our imagination today? There is the history of the Universalist Church, our sibling on the east side, which was founded in part by members here, and a number of whose members came here once again when it closed. There is so much that has contributed to where we are and who we are today in this moment. In addition to sharing our collective history, we also want to identify other areas of self-reflection and study. How is our worship or our religious education program today? How is it the same or different from sibling UU congregations around the country? How are we situated to continue to contribute to the renewal of Portland post-pandemic in ways that embody our values? What does it take in terms of time and talent and skills and resources to care for our facilities? What are all the ways that we are called to collectively engage in caring for the world beyond our walls? What else? What would you like to see us reflect upon? Then, in the new year, even as we continue that self-study, we'll begin to engage with our mission. The last time it was rewritten was 32 years ago, or thereabouts, and I won't ask again. A couple weeks ago, I asked who remembered our mission, and I think 4 hands went up. We will either affirm it as it is, or we will rewrite it in ways that speak to the call of Unitarian Universalism in Portland and in the virtual world in these times. We are not wholly different than we were more than a generation ago, and yet we are not the same. And some of our ways of expressing ourselves in relevant language may have changed. Tomorrow evening, September 22nd, is the beginning of Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, and what is known as the High Holy Days, ending with Yom Kippur, which begins on the evening of October 1st. And you are all invited to Elliott Chapel on that evening for a Yom Kippur service. or you can join online. In the last 50 years or so, the high holidays have captured the imaginations and the spiritual practices of Unitarian Universalists with and without Jewish heritage. It is a time of marking and making changes in our lives, and it has made its way into our liturgical calendar, along with the rise of religious pluralism in our movement. One of the customs of Rosh Hashanah speaks to this moment for all of us. It is to go to a body of water and to cast a pebble or breadcrumbs or leaves into the water. The ritual symbolizes letting go of what holds us back, returning to our truest selves, and moving towards repair of what is broken. I invite you to join me at the close of this sermon in a similar practice. And some of you could do this at home, or you could go to a body of water and consider dropping something environmentally friendly, like a pebble or leaves, into the water. The Tashlik ritual. I drop a pebble into the water and watch the ripples move outward, knowing that all our actions ripple out and touch others inside this community and beyond our walls. May we let go of the ways that we have caused harm to one another and to others in our city, in our nation, and in our world. May we let go of practices that no longer serve us anymore, that we must outgrow in order to reach for something new, more loving, more liberating. May we always return to the threads of love woven throughout our history that we weave into the present and into the future. May we become more just, wise, and compassionate, and fill our spaces with the presence and efforts of repair and wholeness and holiness that will lead us ever onwards towards becoming a part of the beloved community. May this indeed be a time to begin again in love. Amen. Blessed be, and may it be so.
You please rise as you're able and join in our final hymn today. It's also around weaving together. Group 1, Group 2, Group 3, Group 4. We'll sing it all together once.
And now, in our going forth, may the light of love bless us and keep us. May it shine down upon us. May it be gracious unto us. And may it make all of us a people who embody an ethic of love in our hearts, in our homes, in our community, in our cities, in our nation, and in our world. For this is the day that you and I are given. So let us rejoice in it and be glad. Go in peace. Practice love. Amen.